This video is a continuation of my hopefully no damage playthrough of Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Last time I started the game and finished World 1. I won't spoil if I was hit or not right now in case you want to watch that first. I was still using the DLC weapons at the start of World 2, which still made it possible to beat the first combat, but to largely increase my odds of victory, it was time for an upgrade. The upgrades will increase damage on all of my weapons and change some of the super effects that occur when I get a critical hit. Mario's changing from Honey, which makes the affected character not able to move, to Bounce, which will knock an enemy backwards, is a huge upgrade thanks to his hero sight potentially stopping an enemy's attack due to it now being out of range. Luigi's Sentry now applies ink, which prevents attacks that involve weapons, but not dash attacks, for example. As a reminder, I'm allowing sentries to get hit, but not characters I control. The opponents target the closest thing to them in most situations, so placing sentries near them instead of having them explode immediately is my go-to play. It gets even better when the opponents use villain sight, which would normally make it so I couldn't move my characters near them on the turn these are up. Sentries always move before human-controlled characters, so they absorb those hits as well. Now the only problem is that my sentries get destroyed too quickly, which can easily be fixed by putting Mario in a more aggressive position to take out an extra rabbid. This allows my team to stay back and wait for the sentry's one turn cooldown to refresh as I send more in. Eventually, the enemy's health bars are low enough where I can move up and attack the normal way. The next combat is really easy thanks to the enemies being so spread apart. I take out the two closest rabbids and for a further one, send a sentry towards it. This keeps my team safe behind cover or behind sentries, and on my next turn I move back so I can safely recharge my sentries for a guaranteed win. The next combat has a reach area objective, meaning I can't play passively since the combat will only end once one of my characters gets to the area while enemies constantly spawn. The sentry strategy doesn't work too well here since I'm forced to move up and the enemies spawning in at the end of a turn instead of being there during mine means I can only send sentries to close enemies so they explode once in range of an enemy instead of exploding by taking too much damage. At first, I was trying to control the enemy aggro by keeping Mario back while Luigi and Rabbid Peach move up, but Mario kept getting hit. That wasn't working since there wasn't a safe hiding spot. 50% cover could work once, but my other characters weren't close enough to the required area. What I did instead was lure a Smasher closer to the goal and move Rabbid Peach in a spot where her sentry would move towards the Smasher but not explode. Then have Mario knock out the foe, which will keep the sentry alive, but it won't move anymore. By sending up Luigi's sentry on the next turn, the enemies on that side of the map won't bother me anymore since by the time they take out both sentries, I'm too far away. This just leaves some at the end, but with my whole team being able to stall for sentries to recharge, I can easily win from here. The next combat introduces supporters who can heal and have cleaving attacks, which makes hiding behind cover useless. Healing can potentially be an issue since it can make staying back and waiting for sentries to recharge ineffective. This map being relatively small with few enemies makes that no issue this time, and I easily beat the combat first try. The next combat requires Toad, who can't attack or team jump, to make it to a reach area goal. I need to get through the first turn in a very specific way, starting with getting Toad safely behind a block. To do this, I use Luigi's additional technique, Itchy Feet, to increase the movement of characters within range by 1. With it, Toad can hide behind the safe block that's also closer to the goal. The problem now is that when Toad exits the pipe, he won't be in range of the goal until next turn. This is made worse by the supporters cleaving grenades. To solve this, I have Rabbid Peach use her sentry, targeting an enemy it will take many turns to reach. I also team jump Mario, which gives him a 100% accurate shot, and more importantly, makes it so the Smasher will move further from the pipe since Luigi isn't in the way anymore, allowing the sentry to use it to put it in a position where it can absorb hits. All that's left to do is move Rabbid Peach into the right location to launch another sentry while Toad takes her old spot. After the enemies target the turret, Toad can move in for the win. The next Escort Toad mission looks scary since it's on a much larger map, but once you know where the enemies spawn, it's not too bad. I alter Mario's skill tree so his jump does more damage, which will allow me to get through the first turn guaranteed. I start with Luigi's buff so Rabbid Peach can use her dash attack on the closest enemy, have Luigi jump off Mario and use his sentry to ensure it knocks him out, and have Mario dash attack, then jump off Rabbid Peach and onto a foe who can now be finished with a hammer. After that, Toad is safe to move forward. Taking the path with the closer pipe is required since enemies will spawn near the other one. On my next turn, I move up and take out the Smasher with my hero sights. The turn after that, I send out both sentries, with one being taken out after all attacks and villain sights were focused on it. After I move up, since Toad's movement is so limited, he has to hide behind half cover and dodge a 50% hit thanks to one of the enemies walking into my sentry. The following turn both sentries will be back and I can take out the further Rabbid with Luigi's while Mario jumps and attacks the other one. The coast is now clear for Toad to spend 2 turns walking to the goal. The mid-boss in this world is actually 2 separate mid-bosses, and to make things even worse for me, there are also 3 Ziggies. The thing about mid-bosses is that they have insane movement and attack range, so this is probably where I get hit. I fully upgrade into Mario's hero sight for this fight, which will be especially helpful since the Tornado Rabbid puts up a shield which will block the first hit. The most important thing to figure out right away is where to deploy my sentries and who to target with them. For them to survive the longest, it's clear that I at least have to use them before moving Luigi and Rabbid Peach. When I do move them, I team jump behind cover on separate sides of the map. On a practice attempt where Mario's bounce effect worked on the Tornado Rabbid, to my surprise, it chose to stay still instead of moving up to hit my team. Later in the fight, it chose to move up when more targets were in range to get hit by his grenade, so if I can play around that, I should be able to do this. To get through this fight unharmed, I'll also need to upgrade Luigi's hero sight, which will require more orbs. By going back to the first world, I can complete challenges to unlock 2 more for each one I complete. These may seem kind of scary at first, but since I've unlocked more orbs and weapons by beating 4 chapters in World 2, they're actually pretty easy. The first one just requires me to change my skills into ones that upgrade my dash attacks. Enemies don't attack the turn they spawn in challenges, so that's no problem either. For an Escort Toad challenge, I do more than enough damage with weapons, so the only thing that was slightly concerning was getting a Smasher to move so Toad could pass. A no damage challenge doesn't change the one where you have to upgrade movement so you can reach an area in the first turn. You get the idea, the challenges are pretty easy. At least the first 5 are, the other ones contain a certain you-know-who, and I can't beat him without getting hit yet. So I move on after picking up some orbs I forgot before, and ones that I needed the World 2 ability to push things, because yes, that's a World 2 ability that you only unlock after beating the first world. I can now completely upgrade Rabbid Peach's movement since upgrading her heal doesn't do anything for me, and upgrade Luigi's hero sight to hit twice along with bonus team jump range. With my new skill tree, I use both sentries after team jumping. This way, the one on the left won't get blocked by a wall, and the one on the right, which will get hit by one less rabbid, makes a grenade hit an enemy rabbid as well. With Luigi on the right side, his hero sight can now and always will take out the rabbid that runs away. Mario's hero sight just needs to bounce on one of its hits, and once it does, the tornado rabbid will stop his turn. The sentry on the right exploded since it took so much damage, and the one on the left killed a Ziggy. I can use Luigi's double team jump with increased range to get high ground for bonus damage, allowing me to take out one of the mid-bosses without critical hits while positioning my team away from the grenade attack. I send a sentry forward to take care of the last Ziggy before moving everyone up to finish the last mid-boss with attacks and 4 hero sights. After beating them, I unlock Rabbid Mario and get that sweet heal animation that doesn't show a single hit point regained. The next combat is so easy. I replaced Rabbid Peach with Rabbid Mario just to try him out, and even though he didn't contribute anything to the fight while making me forego an extra sentry, I effortlessly won first try. After that is another easy one where a buckler dissuades me from going forward. Little does he know staying back at the start of the map is my specialty. That's followed by another easy combat that introduces weather as a mechanic where at the end of my turn a hazard will randomly move from one part of the map to another. Thankfully the arrows point which direction these will go. The tornado can't even go in an area I mind since it follows a straight path every time. The next combat looked like it would be hard since it was a reach area one with a ton of enemies right at the start, but all you really have to do is beat the first 3 enemies and upgrade Luigi's exit pipe range to get to the area without trouble. The easy streak is over though. This level has weather, smashers, and worst of all, 3 support whose grenades go over blocks on such a small map. The grenades seemed to follow me wherever I went. Staying back clearly wasn't going to work. It was time to play as aggressive as I could while still not getting hit. The key to this battle is Rabbid Mario. This is thanks to a shotgun that deals huge amounts of damage to nearby enemies while also being the only weapon I have access to that has the stone super effect. Stone makes it so that enemies can't attack or move. If I don't get it to work on the support, who can also dodge, and the smasher, who is out of range, I'll lose the combat due to too many enemies being left on the next turn, and that's if Mario gets a critical hit. In order to hit everyone and maximize my chances of getting through this, I upgrade the range on Rabbid Mario's Magnet Dance. For this strategy to work, the weather cannot be going to the right. That's a reset which made this take even longer, but at least there's actually a point to a non-skippable cutscene before every single battle, no matter how many times reset. That's super fun. I send both Marios to the right while Rabbid Mario lures the 3 enemies closer and gets his stone super effect on all of them. Mario does some damage and sets up hero sight, and Luigi sets up a sentry and hero sight while moving away from the ice tornado. Both hero sights take out an enemy. This just leaves the 3 enemies Rabbid Mario already hit, but to clear this combat I need to beat one more enemy that will spawn at the end of my turn. So I move Mario away so that Rabbid Mario can finish the enemies off before escaping as well. The final foe moves towards Luigi while getting inked, and Mr. L can do the rest of the damage himself. One easy combat where I can stay back later, and I'm at the world boss. The first problem here is that you're forced to have Peach on your team, so I lose a sentry in addition to adding a character whose skill tree and weapons can't be upgraded right now. She always replaces the human character too, so Rabbid Peach is my only choice here. The second problem is that this boss has 3 500 health phases and one last phase where you have to dash attack the head. Boss range means this is a combat I almost certainly will be forced to take damage in. I can bait the boss into attacking a sentry turn 1, but it will always explode on the following turn since the boss is so close. It took a while to figure out what to do, but eventually I learned to team jump Mario to the right and both Peaches to the left while Rabbid Peach is in one of the boss's blind spots. It's important to do as much damage as I can since on the turn the sentry recharges, I won't be safe, so Peach uses her grenade while Mario sets up Hero Sight. On the next turn, Rabbid Peach takes the pipe and shoots the boss from behind. I do need some critical hits, but not all of my attacks need to be that way. Mario and Peach can't move far enough on this turn to get behind the shield, so I hide both of them behind blocks to bait the boss to move a specific way. Peach's Hero Sight does some extra damage while the boss retaliates by hitting Rabbid Peach. I do have to take this hit unfortunately, since even if I get all highest damage critical hits, the next phase would hit me here anyway. The turn after, Mario can hit the boss from behind and Peach can hit the now exposed boss before running away into plain sight, but the sentry I can now place without reaching the boss early will take the hit. The boss usually would walk into the sentry himself, but this specific strategy gets him to stop in front of it and shoot it. He'll set up villain sight, but that will instantly be removed as well. After everyone damages the boss and runs away from the smashers, Mario's Hero Sight will do enough damage to move forward a phase where the boss stays in the same spot with 2 supporters. Before doing anything with them, I'm completely safe to just run all the way to the start of the map and take out the smashers. Once they're taken care of, I destroy a block supporters can hide behind while being in range to hit Rabbid Peach because yeah, that ended a previous attempt. Now Rabbid Peach needs to walk all the way up to this block that is in range of the boss, but he will always hit my sentry instead. I have to walk up here, otherwise the sentry would get destroyed before reaching the boss. The supporters can heal of course, but they rarely do it, so I just repeat this process a bunch of times until the boss moves to his last phase. Before moving forward, even though it takes forever, I continuously send sentries out to take out the supporters since I don't want to risk anything else. The pipes make this inefficient since they constantly move out of range, but it eventually works. All that's left to do is dash attack the boss and World 2 is finished, while I only took 1 hit. This brings my cumulative hit total up to 6, but World 1's mid-boss might be able to be beaten while taking less hits than I did before, which I'll go back to for the finale of this series. So if you want to see that, make sure to subscribe and check out some of my other challenges if you're interested.